Hey everyone, this is Rick, your comic book scientist, and I'm going to tell you a little story. So, when I was probably around 17, 18, I lived far away from a comic book store. I lived in Junction City, Oregon, and it was about 20 miles from a place called Emerald City Comics in Eugene. And maybe I was younger than 6, I must have been 15. I could take the bus into town. It was 75 cents to take the bus. Now, I should tell you that most of my math at this time was in increments of 75 because comic books were 75 cents. So I knew that, 4 comic books was $3 and 3 of them was $2.25. And I thought, well, I can take the bus. And I used to sometimes have my friend's dad take me into town. He was willing. My mom was not willing to do that. And my dad had died by that time. And so I rode my bike with my friend who didn't even really like comic books. His name's Jeff. He came with me. We rode on our 10-speed bikes, several times. This is not just once. This happened all the time. And I would ride my bike into town. And I'll never forget that the one book I bought one time was I bought the Watchmen #1. And I would ride my bike into town. I guess I'm turning this into a general story instead of just one episode, but I would ride my bike into town and we would stash our bikes in these fences that had this vine growing up it, and because there was no place to lock them up, so we would hide them there, and there were these homeless guys sleeping in the area. And so we would throw our bikes there and I'd race. I'd run up the stairs. This building was really old. It's called the Smith Family Building. And you could smell, as you ran up the stairs, you could smell the comic books, And it's like, oh my God, it's comics right here. And they knew me in there, so they would let me go behind, the back issues were behind this counter, so they let me run back there if I wanted to, and pick up my old Spideys. But one time I bought, Watchmen #1, I was like, oh man, I got this 75 cents. This is either my bus ride home, because you could put your bike on the front of the bus, or I'm gonna just get this Watchmen book, and it looked pretty cool. So I was like, well, this looks pretty good, even though it's a DC book, and I wasn't into DC at the time. And so I thought, well, I'm gonna buy this book. So I got my pocket knife and cut out a piece of cardboard, and I stuffed the book in my jacket and protected it, And I rode my bike all the way home, and it started to rain, not, hard like it is now, probably just raining a little bit. And so I rode my bike with this jacket all the way home. Now, my friend did not feel the same way about it. He took the bus home, put his bike on the front of the bus, and he took the bike home. And I actually have that. I still have that. I should have shown it to you. I should have had that. Watchmen #1 book, but that book was really important. That book was it was crazy. There was some weird pirate story going on. It was really artsy fartsy. It was it was very different than things I had read before. Things were changing. Until that time, we had Moon Knight was this weird gritty book where on some of the advertisements they were actually asking us, hey, what should we do for advertisements? What do we do? In the Moon Knight book, they were saying, what do you guys want to see? Because it was only direct market, and it was really weird and violent, kind of gritty. It wasn't the pop zing zow stuff. And the Watchmen was what is this? This is the Dark Knight, I think, really changed that stuff, and some of that Frank Miller Daredevil stuff was kind of flirting with it, and the Claremont X-Men was relatively serious too. But it was wow, this stuff can be really good. And then I made the mistake of trying to tell people, oh, these comic books are great, you should check it out, because that wasn't happening. Nobody who read a comic book was going to believe me that these things were really quite good and almost like literature. That wasn't going to happen, especially girls, right? I need to go back. What I really need to do, I need to go back to 15-year-old Rick Morgan and tell him, hey man, when you're 50, these comic book conventions that are in the back room in the banquet hall or the break room at a Red Lion, that you have to use a can of food to get into, to trade comic book with other nerds to see who's stronger, Hulk or Superman. Someday, all the best movies are going to be comic book movies. Not only that, when you come to a comic book convention, it's going to be 50,000 people, and there's going to be tons of chicks in skin tight outfits dressed like your favorite superheroes everywhere. And they're going to be really popular and awesome at the same time. Everyone's going to be like really into this stuff. By the way, most print media is going to be going away, but there'll still be comic books. Now that I would have slapped myself and called myself a liar for that stuff, because I would simply have not believed it, because it was just, there was a lot of derision, right, at the time. And I had to try to, I didn't have to try to, I tried to convince people that it wasn't the case, that these were to be appreciated and, adored and revered almost for the sheer, for the writing of them, not just for the entertainment value, like that you could get from a television program. This went deeper, and it lasted longer because it was episodic, right? The episodes endured and they were around for a long time, and the story sometimes lasted for years, and there were little inside jokes and stuff you could get, and it was really good for me. And so anyway, that's one story of things I remember. More tales of the tales. If you have comic book stories you want to share, put them on your own channel and post a link here, or let me know. Either send me a video, post it online, and I'll if you give me permission, I will post it for you. Or if you want to do an interview with me on like Zoom or something, I can ask you questions, and let's preserve these things. I think comic books die with us if we don't start telling people about why they should be appreciated and start coming up with some of these stories, because I think that there ain't a lot of young kids out there buying a Tales of Suspense 39, I can tell you that much. And they're it's just, things are changing, and to preserve this hobby, we need to step up, and we need to do what we can to share our stories, and I invite you to do the same. So it's Rick Morgan, comic book scientist, signing out. See you later. Bye-bye.